Hey guys, how are you all doing? Welcome to my channel. So, today we are gonna see, what if Naruto married with Kushina and Kaguya, part 2. Subscribe if you enjoy the video, let's start the story. 6 years later, 13-year-old Naruto knocks Floret stands with his party of 14-year-old Kushina Uzumaki, 13-year-old Kaguya, and 15-year-old Rebecca Victoria. Opposite them is Gladiolus with a smirk on his face and his arms folded over his wide chest. The four have finished their training with the Crown Guard and Kingsglaive, becoming honorary members and allowed to wear their colors. You're actually going into the vortex dungeon in the Howling Valley, Gladiolus says. I am, Naruto says. He wears a black silver frock coat, black pants, black gloves, and black knee-high boots with a wide undershirt. We can handle it, Kushina says, slapping her right bicep. Her red hair now reaches to just above her rear and she wears a similar outfit to Naruto, but adds fingerless gauntlets. We've trained for this, Rebecca says, wearing the same as Naruto, but adding a red scarf with shoulder and waist gun holsters. Kaguya remains quiet and wears the mage variant of the uniform of a black leather jacket, a form-hugging sleeveless bodysuit with a zipper running down the torso, and an intersecting chain in between her collarbone, joined by a blue gemstone, black pants, and thigh-high black boots. She also wears fingerless black leather gloves and arm warmers, as well as a shoulder cape with a blue interior. Well, I won't stop you, but Ravas will be pissed if you seriously get hurt, Gladiolus says. Naruto slams right fist into his chest with a determined look on his face. I won't. Besides, I have one of the best young and upcoming mages, he says, glancing at Kaguya, and she blushes a little. Gladiolus lets out a belly laugh and slaps Naruto on the shoulder. Well then, little Kingsglaive, show your mettle, Gladiolus says, and the four salute. So we're doing this, Rebecca says, as the four were heading out of the Crown Guard training area. We are between the four of us. We can clear this dungeon, Naruto says. Are we heading north once this is done? Kaguya says. They reach the outside, as clouds were in the sky, as a signal for rain. I still have 3 years before my sperm donor wants me to return to Konoha. I want to make a name for myself before that, Naruto says. The four make their way down the 2 rows of steps as they greet various people. You should go wild with my chakra, Veldora comments. And bring the dungeon down on us, Naruto says, and Veldora stays quiet. Over the past 6 years, Naruto has been able to wear down the Tsundere dragon and the pair have become friends. He managed to unlock a chakra mode known as Dragonforce, but can only use 3 tails worth as his body is still young. The foursome reach the bottom of the steps as Naruto and Rebecca raise their hands to speak an incantation. 2 arrays appear on the ground and their regalia rises from them, with Naruto having a custom black and red NM4 motorcycle with a large windscreen and numerous diesels or skull motifs. Rebecca has a dark sub-regalia known as a KN with 4 doors for all of them to use, but a place to put gear as well. We'll get supplies along the way. We should reach Howling Valley the day after tomorrow, Naruto says, and the 3 nod, climbing in the KN. Naruto climbs on his bike and starts her up as the front wheel surges with pink energy before the blonde takes off with his party behind him and the beginning of the Vortex Hunter. Howling Valley is southwest of Insomnia and the ruins of Harmonia, and the party dealt with roaming monsters, rouge soldiers, and weak demons as they loaded up on supplies. This dungeon is relatively new and explorers found it was the temple of the Vortex Queen, a powerful warrior mage and summoner. It could increase the number of weapons for my armature, Naruto thought. He gained numerous weapons over the years for his armature, but the only royal arms he used was the katana of the warrior. Noctis noted Naruto fought similar to his father Regis Lucis Caelum, who used his personal collection of weapons for his armature. The party soon reach the Howling Valley and have to leave their regalia behind, but luckily Naruto and Kushina taught Kaguya and Rebecca to unlock their chakra, helping with her guns and Kaguya with her magic. So this is the ruins of the temple of the Vortex Queen, Kushina says. The four were standing in front of an entrance leading underground, around them were the ruins of a church or temple. It would seem so, Rebecca says, adjusting her scarf and then her guns in her waist and shoulders holsters. The four head down about 4 rows of steps to a cave system with a few paths, Kaguya, Naruto says. Swallows of air, Kaguya says, holding up her staff. It is silver and black with chain motifs around it and curved top having a blue crystal. Several blue swallows appear and fly down the paths to guide their way as Kaguya closes her eyes to look through them. This way, she says, leading them through the eastern path. Rebecca unholsters her twin pistols made known as Quicksilver. The bullets are created by one's magic and can even keep up with ninja as she tested them with Naruto. The four follow the path as Kaguya's swallows continue to scout. What do you think we'll find? Kushina asks. One only knows, Naruto says, as the path becomes more refined as they go. It's like the entrance was carved towards this path, Rebecca says. Maybe the temple collapsed and they had to dig another, Kushina says, and Naruto nods in thought. They soon reach a large chamber with broken pieces of armor scattered about, but standing about 40 feet from them is an empty set of full plate armor with long elk horns and a sword in its hand, driven into the stone floor. The sword is a broadsword with a blood groove down the length, the handle is wrapped in brown leather and features a regal lion's face decorating the stone-shaped guard with an intricate antique finish along the pommel. Music. Hi-yo-berserk loop. Once the four were fully in the chamber, the floor glows a light red and an array forms behind them, but also to the right the statue of armor, look, Kaguya says. The broken pieces of armor start to rise and form soldiers as the full plate armor comes to life with light blue flames. Seems we'll have to fight to continue on, Naruto says, holding out his left as he invokes his armature, and the katana of the warrior emerges with white blue energy. Kushina bites her lip to draw blood and smears some on her thumb. Kuchius no jutsu, she says, summoning a chainsaw great sword made in honor of the sword of the tall. Let's do this, Naruto shouts, and the three rush into battle as Kaguya fires fireballs from a distance. Kushina swings her great sword with ease through a few armors as Naruto pushes towards the full plate armor but dodges left as it swings, creating a slice of wind. Interesting, Naruto thought, moving towards the full plate and again dodging another slice of wind. It raises its sword high as Naruto closes the gap with an upward swing, causing a vortex of wind as Naruto braces with his katana and uses chakra to hold himself steady. South, Naruto hisses as cuts form on his body and he parries the broadsword aside to back leap with a skid. Rebecca leaps into a spinning bullet storm as her bullets target limbs and stun them, allowing Kushina to cleave them apart or Kaguya to blast them with a spell. Naruto sends his katana away and weaves signs to the dragon as he links his hands together, Ranton. Laser circus, he shouts, firing light blue laser beams. Full plate swings its sword to deflect, but Naruto closes the gap with a stinger, the force of the thrust sending the armor back, but Naruto combos it into a high time. It lifts the armor off the ground as Naruto leaps into a helm break and the overhead swing sends the armor crashing down, but the blonde also sends his phantom blades into the armor as he lands. The other armor collapses to the ground as Naruto stares at full plate but raises his katana as it moves to slowly hand the blonde its broadsword. Take it, full plate says in an echoing tone. Naruto slowly takes the sword as full plate breaks down and runes appear along the blade to reveal its name, vortex gaze, he whispers. The array blocking their way shatters like glasses as Naruto looks around but focuses as he makes vortex gaze a part of him armature. The sword glows white blue and breaks down to become a part of his hoard of weapons. Everyone alright, Naruto asks. We are, but you're bleeding, Rebecca says. Kaguya uses a healing spell on Naruto as Kushina rests her chained sword on her shoulder. We continue, Kushina says, and Naruto nods. There must be other levels, Naruto says. The four continue on through the exit of the chamber and find another triple set of stairs leading further down. I wonder how far down it goes, Rebecca says. Naruto looks around and he starts to see the engraving of a warrior woman with various weapons, a broadsword, a great sword, a pair of daggers, and a bow. I hear water, Kaguya say, her ears moving around. The group reach the bottom of the stairs and see a lake about 20 feet in front of them. Think about another fight, Rebecca says, looking around and grabbing one of her quicksilvers. Possible, so be on guard, Kaguya, Naruto says as they reach the water's edge. I see some Aquarius, Kaguya says, and several fishes of water appear and swim around the waters. A few moments pass as no attack comes, but Kaguya opens her eyes. There is a switch, I believe, with a sword, she says, and Naruto cups his chin in thought. Looks like I'll have to swim down and check it, Naruto says, and this causes all three girls to perk up. He slowly begins undressing down to his orange boxer briefs as three stare, with two getting small nosebleeds and one hiding her eyes with her ears but still peeking. Keep your eyes trained, enemies may appear, Naruto says and dives into the water. He covers his mouth and nose with his hand to create an air bubble with some magic as he starts to dive down towards the switch Kaguya mentioned. This vortex queen has created an odd temple, Vildora says. Maybe she wanted someone to collect her weapons. Even if she's been dead for years, vortex gaze is pristine, Naruto thought. The water is crystal blue but dark at the same time. On your left, Vildora says, and out of his periphery Naruto sees a light. He stops, but quickly weaves a large chain of signs to the bird as a large angular fish is swimming towards him. Suiton. Sansuriken no jutsu, Naruto thought. Three water dragons with golden eyes form and charge the angular fish, crashing into the fish and tearing into its scales as Naruto continues swimming towards the switch as he sees the sword driven into it. Another sword, why not a weapon like the Cerberus, Vildora says. Naruto grabs the sword and pulls it from the switch as runes light up across the blade to reveal the name Vortex Pain. It is a great sword with a battle-worn solid metal crossguard and pommel, genuine leather-wrapped grips, and a rat tail tang. Naruto looks over the blade as the water level lessens as the section of ground near the switch opens. Naruto, did you kill this fish? Kushina shouts. I did think we can eat it, Naruto says, using an armature on vortex pain. Kushina slides down the hole and uses her sword to cut some pieces off the angular fish as Kaguya prepares a fire. Seems we'll need to go further down, Naruto says, pointing to the opening by the switch. I wonder how deep we are, Rebecca says, as Naruto puts his clothes back on and Kushina tries to cook the pieces. Makes you wonder why you make such deep, Naruto comments as Rebecca slides down towards Kushina and Kaguya. Naruto finishes getting dressed and slides down as the four fill their bellies before heading to the stairs and finding another path to lead them further in as this path is lighted. Anything, Naruto says, and Kaguya listens with her ears but gets nothing. The path deviates to the left until the four reach a chamber with a pedestal in the center of the room, also engravings around the room with some metalwork as well. On the pedestal is a pair of daggers having a silver blue blade with 3 spiraling cutting edges. The handle is black with a skull crusher pommel and the blade looks like a cyclone. Another vortex weapon, Naruto thought, slowly approaching the pedestal. He slowly grasps the daggers and like before runes appear along the blade to reveal their names, vortex fangs, Naruto says, before metal bars shoot up from the floor around him. A blue ray lights up as Kaguya, Rebecca, and Kushina shout his name as he vanishes. Music change. Restriction and pledge Hunter x Hunter. Naruto gasps and finds himself in what appears to be a large throne room, but he can barely see 5 feet in front of him as he grips the vortex fangs. He continues to look around as something whizzes by his ear to cut the top, causing him to tense and sends the daggers away to bring out a vortex gaze. Naruto shifts his eyes from right to left with gaze in both hands, but another whiz happens but hits the sword, pushing him back with a skid. Naruto shouts but gets no answer. However, suddenly he jerks as pain blossoms in his right leg and Naruto looks down to see a bleeding wound but then a pain above his right shoulder. What? Naruto says. Someone is here, Vildora says. Naruto grunts as 3 more wounds open up on his left shoulder, left leg, and his right cheek. I'm not sensing anything until I am struck, but there is something hitting me, Naruto thought, bringing out his armature. The phantom swords block a barrage of strikes, but Naruto couldn't see what was striking his blades. Then let's try this, Naruto thought, weaving signs to hair and inhaling. The blonde thought, spewing water out his mouth to coat the floor around him as his left cheek opens and he weaves to ram. Kurigakur no Jutsu, Naruto says, creating a thick mist, and his eyes widen as thin streaks appear as he brings out his blades. Arrows, Vildora comments. Naruto attempts to dodge but slips on some water and blood as this helps dodge a flurry of arrows. You're going to have to finish this quickly. I'm not good at healing like the others, Vildora says. Naruto gets to his knees as he brings out a tael's worth of chakra from Vildora and weaves signs to slap his hands together, creating a large pulse with his eyes closed. There, Naruto thought, vanishing with a combination of warp and shunshin. He brings out the katana of the warrior as he sees a woman with long silver hair and light armor and a black and silver record bow with phoenix markings in her hands. She fires a few arrows, but Naruto sees they are made of wind before grunting in pain as a few find his stomach, but he stays the course with an aerial but downward stinger, piercing the woman in the chest. Her eyes widen as they crash to the ground and Naruto groans in pain from the wounds to his body. An interesting person, one of the Lucian bloodline, the ethereal woman says. She leans down and places her hand on Naruto's chest. Thank you for freeing me. I leave my weapons and my summons to you, she adds, as 2 tattoos form on Naruto's body. One is a lion-tiger hybrid and the other is a phoenix. Use them well, the ethereal woman says, and fades away. Song ends. Naruto's eyes slowly open to find himself surrounded by 3 crying girls, where he whispers. Kaguya is healing him with tears in her pale eyes with Kushina and Rebecca trying to hide their tears. What happened? You vanished but reappeared covered in wounds, Rebecca says. I think I fought Lady Vortex and got a bow, Naruto says, seeing said bow on his chest, and the runes appear to reveal its name of Vortex Abandon. You also got 2 summons, Vildora says. Naruto was about to answer the dragon, but Kushina starts shaking him with tears in her eyes. You almost died. Think before rushing into anything. I know we took this dungeon to prove ourselves, but she says as Naruto touches her cheek. Sorry I dragged you 3 into this. I'll think about it next time, Naruto says. You better, Kushina and Rebecca say, in unison. Naruto slowly gets to his feet with a groan and looks over his new bow. Let's head back, he says, sending it away with an armature. The 4 start to make their way back to the surface as Vildora explains things, as the Lady Vortex was originally from up north and came south, bringing her 2 summons with her of the Liger and Phoenix. So you have 2 summons, Kushina says, as they pass the remains of the angular fish. Not in the traditional sense I think, but yeah I have two summons Naruto says, causing Kushina to puff her cheeks. I've never heard of Elijah, but phoenixes are said to rise from the ashes of their deaths, Rebecca comments. Elijah sounds like a combination of lion and tiger, Kaguya adds. The four soon reach the surface, but immediately go on guard, as people are waiting for them. All of them were wearing white outfits having silver armor on their legs or arms with burqa masks over their faces, along with the symbol of a sword through two dragons on a red background. However, one stands out, as he wasn't wearing a covering over his face to show his wrinkles and his dark hair in a bun. His most noticeable feature is his beard and a flail in his right hand with a hooded cape. It seems we have a group of explorers who have explored this dungeon, the leader declares. We're not explorers, we're Kingsglaive of the Kingdom of Insomnia, Kushina shouts, causing Naruto to sweat, as he wanted that to be a secret. The leader releases a belly laugh with a wild look on his face. Even better, I am Caliber. We are members of the Eos Empire, and what better way to honor Emperor Aldercapt by bringing him the heads of 4 Insomnia dogs, he declares. Kaguya, how many? Naruto says. At least 50 soldiers, Kaguya says, moving her ears. Kushina right, Rebecca left, Kaguya support, Naruto says. Fill them, shouts. His soldiers open fire with fireballs, but the 4 spring into action. Kaguya counters with a green barrier for Naruto, as Kushina rushes right with her chain sword, and Rebecca heads left, drawing her quicksilvers. One of the soldiers breaks formation, but Naruto grabs his face, driving him into the ground and leaping to dodge another's flame. Naruto brings out Vortex Gaze and swings to create a vortex to wind to offset the flames, creating a firestorm to engulf several soldiers. Caliber manages to dodge this and sends mana to his flail to increase its size. Take this, he shouts, swinging the large flail. Naruto parries the flail with a loud clang as he glances to see a few soldiers charging Kaguya. They are assuming she is simply a mage, Baldora says. Kaguya plants her staff into a standing dropkick to one soldier, into several strikes with her staff, and a few spells. Explosion, Caliber shouts, pointing to his right hand, but Naruto dodges as the ground explodes where he was standing. Naruto leaps as Caliber tosses the flail, but the blonde uses it as a springboard to switch to Vortex Abandon and firing a barrage of wind arrows. Caliber dodges and increases the size of his flail once again to send it towards Naruto, but the blonde blocks with a shield from his armature. Why has the Eos Empire sent soldiers here? Naruto says. It does not matter to you. Insomnia Dog shouts, increasing his flail even more and spins the massive weapon over his head. He brings the large flail down, but Naruto blocks with his shield as the ground buckles underneath. You will die. Howls, increasing the size of his flail continuously. Naruto grits his teeth as the ground continues to give way underneath his boots, but the blonde uses his free right to weave one-handed signs. Raiden. Thunder Spear, Naruto says, firing a blast of lightning like a spear and cutting into the side of. This freezes the crazed knight as Naruto uses Kawarimi with him, Kaguya. Naruto shouts. She appears above the large flail to slam her boots into it and crush Caliber with his own weapon. Naruto falls on his butt as Kushina approaches with her sword stained in blood. Any survivors? He asks. Nope, but a bunch ran off, Kushina says, and sees Rebecca approaching. Anything, she adds. They wanted the possible riches of the dungeon, Rebecca says. Naruto gets to his feet and dusts off his rear to approach the crater with Caliber's flail now back to normal. The crazed knight was unmoving, but Rebecca put one into his head for good measure. Naruto grabs the flail and adds it to his collection before creating a dozen clones to explore the remains of the temple. If there are riches other than the Lady Vortex's weapons, we should find them, but archive them, Naruto says, and the three nod, but the blonde is unaware a tragedy has happened. Insomnia Citadel 1 week later, Naruto feels his legs are ready to give out as he stands opposite Hati, Naruto says. The ruler of Insomnia stares at Naruto, but rises from his chair to approach the blonde and places his hands on Naruto's shoulder. Ravas was critically injured in battle. What happened? Naruto whispers, his eyes flickering. It was an ambush led by Arden Izunya, and a large group of demons starts and returns to his desk. Ravas fought valiantly and severely wounded Arden, but the price was high, as he was severely burned in the process. Arden fled like the coward he is, and Ravas was rushed back, but it is too late for him, he finishes. Where can I see him? Naruto says, clenching his hands behind his back. Nocta slowly nods and calls for someone to escort Naruto to. His will has been keeping him alive when his body couldn't say, and Naruto salutes before quickly following a member of the Crown Guard. I'm going to kill that bastard, Arden, Naruto thought. I know you do, but you aren't strong enough yet, Baldora says. I know that, but he is the only family I have left, Naruto thought. You still have a father and sisters, Baldora comments, but Naruto nearly slams his fist into the wall of the elevator. Sorry, the dragon adds. Minato Namikaze is no longer my father, and the only reason I'm going back to get what my mother left me. I know he has my inheritance, Naruto thought, stepping off the elevator and walking down the hall as dread filled him. The crown guard stops at the door as Naruto touches the handle with his eyes flickering but pulls it down and enters the room. Ravas is lying in a bed with bandages covering all but a small portion of his face and could see his uncle is missing his leg as well. Naruto slowly approaches the bed as if his legs were stuck in a thick mud. "You uncle," he says. Naruto whispers, opening his eyes. Naruto kneels next to the bed with flickering eyes as Ravas stares. "Do not grieve, Naruto, soon I will be with Luna," and mother whispers as Naruto stifles his tears and sobs. "How could this happen?" Naruto whispers, his forehead hitting the bed as tears run down his cheeks. Ravas weakly raises his bandaged left hand to place it on Naruto's head. "Naruto, I have something to ask of you, my sword Albalianus." "Give it to my Arya," whispers. "Uncle, you can't leave, please, can't be alone again," Naruto says. "You're not alone. You have Kushina, Kaguya, Rebecca, Sakura, Tsunade, NHHH, Shizune," and Arya says, weakly rubbing the blonde's hair. "Maybe so, but you saved me at my darkest hour," Naruto says. "And you saved me in mine. You've grown into a strong young man. I would have been proud to have you as my son. Live a good life," Ravas whispers before his hand falls from Naruto's head. A shudder of pain pierces through Naruto as loud sobs fill the room as the blonde grieves for his uncle. Kushina and the others would find Naruto in the room, curled up into a ball and sobbing, but the blonde refused to leave when asked by the three. Kaguya would have to use a spell to knock Naruto and get him brought back to his room. Noctis would have a day of mourning for Ravas the day before his funeral, which would be a procession through a section of the city. Naruto would not attend as the blonde was holed up in his room, not eating or drinking and only crying, but he would get the kick in the ass a week after Ravas's death. Naruto lays in a ball in another part of his mindscape, unable to face Valdora or anyone else for that matter. Losing Ravas brought back old memories of his father, stepmother and half-sisters, with the constant mocking from the latter or the disappointment from the former. Naruto hears footsteps walking on water and his eyes shoot open to see a figure looking down at him. They wear somewhat thick armor, a tattered cape and a large volumed feathered tassel on the top of their spiny helmet. "I know the feelings that you are feeling," the figure says. Naruto stares at the figure but recognizes the armor. "The warrior king," he says. "When my love was taken from me, I waged a near global war in revenge for her death. It broke me," the warrior says. Naruto feels the hot tears running down his cheek. "He saved me. If he hadn't, he whispers. Would he wish to see you wallow in sadness? He would ask you to stand and surpass him," the warrior says. "I don't know if I can," Naruto whispers. "You have the blood of kings in your veins. You can persevere, young one," the warrior says. "I agree," a voice says. Naruto looks up to see a sky blue and silver phoenix with flame-like wings, but also a large white tiger with black stripes. "Greetings, I am Bren, and this my cantankerous ally Kaiser," the phoenix says. "They are summons of the Lady Vortex," the warrior says. "I can understand your pain, but it is foolish to wallow in it," Kaiser says. As the warrior king says, "You have the blood of kings and can overcome the sadness. You have allies," Bren says. Naruto sniffles as he remains quiet but wipes his eyes. "I'll try," he says. "We will be with you, Naruto," Bren says as Naruto leaves his mindscape. He slowly opens his eyes to his bedroom and weakly sits up with a sheet around his body before sliding off the bed and making his way to the table with a case on it. He slowly sits down and opens the case to reveal Ravas's sword Alba. It is a gold-hilted saber with a dark-colored blade that has a central ridge. "This seems like a good sword for his little one," Valdora says. Naruto hears his door open and he looks back to see Kushina with a tray of soup. "Naruto," she says, followed by Rebecca and Kaguya. "Hey," Naruto whispers, closing the case and moving it aside for Kushina to place the tray down. "How are you feeling?" Kushina says. "A little better," Naruto says, staring at the soup and letting it cool a bit. "Will you leave your room today?" Kaguya asks. "You stink, so a birth first," Rebecca adds. Naruto sighs and grabs the spoon to try some soup. "Yeah, it'll be tough, but I can't hide here forever," he says, after slipping the spoon of soup into his mouth. "So we're still heading back," Kushina says, and Naruto nods. "We'll head to Uzushio and tell Aunt Tsunade about Ravas. From there we'll head out to make names for ourselves," Naruto says, after a few spoonfuls of soup. "I can't wait to show Mom how strong I've gotten and introduce her to you too," Kushina says. "I want to see the whirlpools," Rebecca says. "I want to see the ocean," Kaguya adds. The room falls into silence as Naruto eats his soup, but Kushina looks to Rebecca and Kaguya as both slowly nod. "Naruto, I know this isn't the best time to say this, but we need to tell you this. We love you," Kushina says, and Naruto looks at her with a spoon in his mouth. "I love you too. We've been friends for almost 8 years," Naruto says, and Kaguya places a hand on his shoulder. No, we love you like we want to be a couple, Kaguya says, and Naruto's eyes widen. We've talked about this for a while, and we agreed it would be best to share it with you. That way you don't have to choose between us. Plus Kushina told us that up north there is something called the Kra, Rebecca adds. But I don't have a clan, Naruto says. The Noxfluoric clan mom could help you create it, and bam Kra, Kushina says. Naruto places his spoon down and looks the girls in the eye, but could see their determination. I guess I can't say no, he says. Nope, and since I've known you longer I'll be the head wife, Kushina says. I don't know about all that, Rebecca says, and Kushina puffs her cheeks, causing Naruto to sigh and finish his soup as the two argue. 3 weeks later Naruto, Kushina, Rebecca, and Kaguya were leaving Insomnia to head to the north. For Rebecca and Kaguya this would be a new experience, as the north didn't use magic as much as the south, but both could use chakra, as Naruto and Kushina taught them. Bren and Kaiser said they were different from the other summon clans, as Naruto would only be able to summon them, but the pair could alter their size to be as large as Veldora. Naruto would make a vow at Ravas's grave to surpass his uncle and kill the Great Whirlpool Bridge. Kaguya and Rebecca stare at the ocean with the wonder of children as they are stopped at the midway point of the Whirlpool Bridge. It has been about a month since they left Insomnia, but unlike Naruto and Kushina's journey, they didn't stop much, but did deal with bandits or stray monsters. They stopped in the port city of Nami, and Naruto noticed the town seemed off compared to the first time he came, so he left some reinforced shadow clones to scout things out. I wonder how cute Arya is, Kushina says, and Naruto shrugs, making some adjustments on his bike. Aunt Tsunade is a beautiful woman, and Uncle Ravas was a handsome man. So by virtue of that Arya should be cute, Naruto says. Don't be fooled by Tsunade Bachan. She's old and hides behind a henge, Kushina says, and Naruto curls an eyebrow. Are you sure it would be near impossible to hold a henge all the time, and she does have Uzumaki genes, Naruto says, and Kushina huffs, folding her arms. I still think it's a henge, Kushina says, and Naruto sighs, shaking his head. Come on you two, Naruto shouts, starting up his bike. Kaguya and Rebecca make their way back to Rebecca's KN, with Kushina driving the rest of the leg too. About an hour later the four reach the toll gate and one of them sees Kushina before letting them in, and they make their way toward Sakura's home. Rebecca and Kaguya stare out the window at the hustle and bustle of it being a smaller but homely version of Insomnia. The farms were robust and the city was not as crowded as Insomnia. Will the people accept me? Kaguya says from the backseat. Sure, though be prepared for the major shinobi villages, as not many demihumans come this far north, Kushina says. Naruto won't let anything happen to you, Rebecca adds, seeing a casino and a blonde storming out. The four soon reach Sakura's home, and the guards were shocked to see Kushina, but also Naruto, before opening the gates to let them in and alerting Sakura. Naruto pulls in front of the KN as Sakura comes out of her house, but he also sees a little girl about 4 years old with long red hair and matching eyes behind glasses. Kushina, Naruto? Sakura says. Hey mom, and who's that? Kushina says, pointing to the little girl behind her mother. Sakura places her hand on the little girl's head. This is your little sister Karen, this is your sister Kushina and her friend Naruto, she says. Karen stares at Kushina and Naruto, but her gaze drifts to Kaguya, however it's more to her ears, and her eyes light up. Bunny, Karen shouts, and Kaguya blushes. The demihuman, but her eyes, Sakura says. Yeah, this is Rebecca Victoria and Kaguya Itsuki. We'll explain in detail, but Aunt Tsunade is here, Naruto says. She's at a casino, Sakura says, picking up Karen. Kaguya lets Karen touch her ears with a small smile as Sakura invites them inside. You two have grown, and not just physically, Sakura says. We learned a lot, Kushina says. Sakura leads them to the back deck and lets Karen sit in her sister's lap, so Sakura says. Naruto sighs and starts explaining things over the past 6 years, how they met and his comrades met Rebecca and Kaguya at a slave auction, training with Kingsglaive and Crownguard, conquering the temple of Lady Vortex, gaining Bren and Kaiser, but also the lost of in battle. Ravas was a good man, Sakura says, her tone saddened. Does Arya know about her dad? Kushina asks. She knows a little about him and that he's from Niflheim, Sakura replies. Ravas had a daughter, Kaguya asks, and Sakura nods. She was born before Ravas took Naruto and Kushina to Insomnia, Sakura replies. The deck door slides open as steps, but her eyes widen at the sight of Naruto, Kushina, Rebecca, and Kaguya. Little Tomato says, and several ticks mark form on Kushina's face. You're the lady from Uncle Ravas died a little over a month ago, Naruto replies, and Tsunade's eyes widen to flicker. I see, Tsunade says. Naruto wipes a straight tear and pulls out the case containing Alba. He asked me to give this to Arya. It's his sword, Alba Leonis, he says. Tsunade approaches the table and slowly opens the case to see the saber. I'll make sure she gets it once she's old enough, she says. Where is Arya? Kushina asks. Shizune took her to the park. Your friend here has eyes very similar to what Hyuga says, changing the subject. My father maybe or was from the Hyuga clan. He assaulted my mother. Though I think my eyes are for aesthetic purposes and I can't use their dijutsu, Kaguya says and frowns. I see signs and signs, Konoha has changed a lot, she thought. And Tsunade. Does Konoha know about Arya? Naruto asks, as Tsunade takes a seat. Unfortunately they do. Jiraiya's informants happened to see us at the park about a year ago. Since then Minato has asked not less than 10 times for me to return to Konoha, because the Senju now have an heir. Luckily they don't know Ravas is her father, explains, but smirks. I wish I could have seen Jiraiya's face. I bet he whined that I now have a child, but not with him, she adds. Did he ask about me? Naruto asks, but Tsunade shakes her head and the younger blonde sighs. He's more concerned with the Uchiha massacre, and Naruto's eyes widen. It happened about 2 years ago. Some unknown group attacked the Uchiha under the cover of darkness. The clan was mostly wiped out, save the clan head's wife Mikoto, her 3 children, the eldest son's wife, and non-combatants, she explains. Who could attack a major clan like that? Kushina asks. Rumors are swirling, but nothing is concrete. However, there is something you should be prepared for. It's an organization called Akatsuki, Sakura says, and Naruto arches an eyebrow. Akatsuki, Rebecca says, and Sakura nods. They are a group formed in aim with noble motives, but that changed when one of the leaders died. Now they are taking in missing nin, and their noble intentions have turned darker. Our spies found they were searching for the locations of the 9 Jinchuriki for sinister purposes, Sakura explains. All the more reason to stay on the move and continue to train, Naruto says. You can stay as long as you need. However, Kushina, I learned something about one of the leaders. It's Nagato, Sakura says, and Kushina's eyes widen, with her breath hitching. Is Nagato? Kaguya asks. Kushina looks at the ground with a sigh. He's my older brother. He awakened the Rinnegan when he was 13 and attained a god complex, she says. He killed my husband and fled. He managed to stay under the radar, but I've had hunters searching for him, Sakura says. So he wants to prove himself a god among people by capturing the Biju, Rebecca says. It is possible, however, the Rinnegan is an almost mythic taijutsu, so when you're out there be careful and run, Tsunade says, and all 4 nod, but Naruto groans. Seems Nami is nearly under new management, Naruto says, and rubs his head. A man called Gato is trying to take over the city, he adds. That can't be good. That could put Yuzushio in bad shape as the bridge passes through Nami, Kushina says. Sakura leans back in her chair with her eyes on Naruto. Think you can handle it? A way to start your infamy, she says. Port city of Nami. The next day Naruto and company were making their way through the port city, his clones gaining information about, and the man is rich, very rich, but also a miser when it concerns money. He has been buying businesses to subtly take control of the town, but his miserly ways are hampering things. Do you think we can deal with this? Kushina says, as the 4 were wearing their Kingsglaive outfit but minus their frock coats. We'll need to scout him first. We can't just go off on rumors, Naruto says. The 4 continue through the town, as a few give Kaguya a second look, but she sees a few demihumans as well. The town also seems to have this slightly oppressive atmosphere, but the casual person couldn't see it. Perhaps we should stay somewhere, Rebecca suggests. A good idea, Naruto says, but his eyes narrow, seeing 2 of the thugs from his clone's memories. He turns to the 3 with a flick of his eyes as he bumps into one of the men. Watch where you're going, you brat, the man hisses. He has an eye patch over his right eye and has brown hair and an elaborate topknot and elaborate tattoos. It stretches across his entire left side and left-right inner thigh, as well as a stitched scar on the left side of his forehead and the left side of his mouth. He wears a loose-fitting kimono with the top half falling around his waist to leave his upper body exposed, and bandages wrapped around his waist with simple sandals. Sorry, Mr. Naruto says, but man grabs him to pull the blonde into an alley. You bumped into me. You need to pay me for what the man says. Naruto puts on this facade of a frightened teen as the man glares with his lone eye. I don't have money, he says. You're going to hand over that bunny girl. I hear Demihuman pussy is tight, the man says, with a lecherous sneer. Naruto's facade drops and a dark look forms on his face before pulling out the vortex fangs and driving them into the man's thighs with a twist. He screams and falls to the ground as Naruto slams his boot on his chest. You're going to tell me about what Gato, Naruto says. Fuck you, brat, the man hisses. Naruto flexes a little of Voldora's chakra and the man breaks out into a cold sweat with wide eyes. He stays on the west side in a compound with high walls and barbed wire. He also has a missing nin, a former member of the 7 Swords of Mist, he says. You finished, Naruto, Kushina says, dragging the other thug. He has bluish-white hair, having a dark purple hat on his head and black eyes with line markings tattooed under his eyes. He wears a blue jacket with multiple pockets and tied to his waist with brown shorts, along with simple sandals, as well. Yeah, and I've got an idea, Naruto says, killing the man with a vortex gaze. What sort of plan, Rebecca asks. Kushina and I will hang out with these thugs to infiltrate Gato's place with Kaguya. You can provide overwatch in case things get dicey. However, there is a missing nin inside as well, Naruto explains. How strong of a missing nin, Kushina says. Probably level, so if things get dangerous we leave, Naruto says and looks at Rebecca. If you see a shot take it, he adds, and she nods. Kushina seals the bodies of the thugs into a scroll in case of a bounty, and the pair henge into the two of them. Let's get started, Naruto says, and all of them nod. Kushina and Naruto make their way to the west side of the city to search for Gato's place with Kaguya bound by her wrists. Is that it, Kushina says. Looks like, Naruto says. Baraji's Ori is back already, and who's this, a guard says. Naruto gives the guard a lecherous smile and finds a young Demihuman. Gato will like her, he says. Maybe we'll get a chance on her, the second says, and internally the three were plotting their deaths. The three pass through the gate and note that Gato's place is a 2-story house. How many, Naruto whispers. At least 20 with people underground, Kaguya whispers. Where have you two been? A voice says. Naruto sees two men approaching, with one wearing a suit and is short, having shaggy brown hair and small, circular black glasses. The other is strong and tall with a slender frame and no eyebrows, creases under his eyes, and a cross-shaped scar on his right cheek. He also has sharp shark-like teeth with red grid-shaped marking covering his jaw. He wears a black tight-fitting sleeveless shirt with two light, thin stripes on his chest, a striped cloth belt, and light pants, along with black arm covers extending from his hands to his biceps. Also bandages around his neck and face which also cover his ears. The sword he carries is a tall broadsword with two cutouts, a circle close to the top and a semicircular one nearer to the handle. The handle itself is extremely long with a notch having a strap wrapped around the weapon. Sorry boss, but we found this rabbit Demihuman and wanted to get her for you, Kushina says, and Kaguya looks frightened. Gato looks over Kaguya with his hidden eyes undressing her and licks his lip. Good job Zori Waraji, he says, reaching to grab Kaguya, but the man with him stops him. What are you doing, Juzo? Says. These aren't Ori and Waraji, Juzo says, his eyes narrowed. No sense hiding, Naruto says, dropping their hinges and Kaguya breaking her bounds. Who the hell are you people? Shouts. Call me Vortex Heart, Naruto says and brings out a vortex gaze. Juzo points his sword at Naruto as skitters off. Go after him, Naruto says as Kushina and Kaguya chase after him. Vortex Heart, ha kid, what's your real name? Juzo says. Naruto shifts into an oxguard stance with a serious look. Naruto Nox Flurity says. Buzo Biwa, Juzo says. Music. Treachery, Bleach Ost. Naruto edges forward slowly as Juzo remains motionless with a small standoff forming. Why work for someone like Gato, Naruto says. Juzo says nothing but shoots forward with a wide swing, but Naruto leaps over it into a crouch and a thrust forward to pierce Juzo's chest. However, it isn't blood that spews but water, Mizu Bunshin, Naruto thought as a shadow appeared above him. Juzo brings his sword down, but Naruto dodges as it spiderwebs and Naruto uses the sword to run toward. However, the former ninja lets go of his sword and swings a weighted left as Naruto blocks with his forearm, but there was some force behind it as the blonde lands with a skid. Not bad kid, Juzo says, but weaves signs and raises his left arm, Ninpo. Kurigakure no Jutsu, he utters as a thick mist forms. Naruto's eyes move left and right as he lets go of Vortex Gaze and summons Vortex Pain with his hand on the blade as it slowly starts to glow aqua blue. There are 8 points I can strike, kid, and they all end in your death, Juzo says from all around Naruto. The blonde remains motionless as appears to Naruto's left with a wide swing, but he blocks with a skid to Juzo's shock. Water wheel, Naruto shouts, swinging and creating a wheel of water, but dodges to melt into the mist. Suiton. Mizu Kamakiri barely echoes through the mist and Naruto narrowly blocks each slice of water, but his left shoulder sprays blood. Naruto jerks as Juzo appears above him with his sword down and he gets Vortex Pain up to block as the ground cracks underneath him. However, another appears behind Naruto with his sword cleaving him in half at the waist, but blood and guts don't appear. Juzo narrowly dodges lightning as his Mizu Bunshin is destroyed. Ranton. Laser Circus barely echoes. Juzo turns and jerks as several laser beams erupt from the mist as his sword takes the brunt of the beams, but one finds his left side. This kid possesses a Kekkei Genkai, Juzo thought. A heavy gust of wind blows through and dispels the mist to reveal Naruto with the katana of the warrior in his hands before both rush each other in a clash of strikes with sparks erupting from each swing or counter. What one could not see through this dance of death is that their swords were telling a story and slowly both were learning about the other. The dance breaks as both skid back with a few gashes on their bodies. Not bad, Naruto Nox Fluid, Juzo says. Right back at you Juzo Biwa, I can see why you were one of the 7 swords, Naruto says, but his breath hitches as is blasted from behind by. The mini tyrant stands with a pistol in his hand. What is taking you so long to kill, some kid shouts. Juzo drops his sword with a loud clang and clutches his heavily bleeding stomach with his right, staggering a bit and collapsing. You bastard, hisses. Naruto summons his katana and rushes to Juzo's side as Gato points his pistol at him. You shinobi are always expensive, so this is me recouping my investment, he says, but screams in pain as the gun hand is blown off. Naruto rushes to and grabs him by his tie to toss him on his stomach, only to drive a silver longsword into Gato's back. I've inflicted a fatal wound, you may have a few minutes before you die, Naruto says coldly and squeals in pain. He sees Kaguya approach with her staff in hand. Please help, sputters. Naruto twists his sword and screams in pain. She can save you if you beg the gods to give Juzo a proper place in the afterlife, Naruto says. I will any gods listening grant Juzo Biwa a place in the afterlife, sputters. Naruto rips his sword from Gato's back. Don't say something that you don't mean, Naruto says, before severing Gato's spine from his neck. He turns his attention to Juzo and makes his way back to him. Brutal kid, Juzo says. I can heal him, Kaguya says. Juzo spits up some blood with a chuckle. No need, little lady, I'm too far gone, though I have a request, he starts and groans. Burn me and take my Kubikirabacho, Kurigakure doesn't deserve it, he whispers before drawing his last breath. Naruto sighs and closes Juzo's eyes as he rises to his full height. Where's Kushina and Rebecca, he says. Freeing the prisoners and mopping up Gato's thugs, Kaguya says as Naruto picks up the won't be on the hunt for it, she adds. Naruto adds the fame to his armature. They can have it back for a price, he says. Naruto and company would take the prisoners under Gato's compound with them, informing them of their hero known as Vortex Heart, something that spreads for the next 3 years. Island of Yuzushio. Naruto stares at the ceiling of his old room with a groan escaping his lips as someone is sitting on his chest. Can I help you, Arya, he asks. It has been a week since his escapade in Nami, and news is spreading of the heroic Vortex Heart and his cadre as the general public were unaware of Gato's actions. Arya stares into Naruto's azure blue with a stuffed slug in her arms and wearing a pink and white dress. You know magic like my dad did, she asks. I do, but you need to be bigger to learn, Naruto replies, beating her to the punch. Arya puffs her cheeks and slides off his chest, but Naruto raises his right hand to create a small flame to Arya's enjoyment. Magic is not too different from chakra. Learn that first, then maybe I can help with magic, he says. The door opens and Karen pokes her head in with Kushina. Lunch is ready, Kushina says. Mom made cheesesteak sandwiches, Karen says. Arya hops off Naruto's bed and the blonde sits to get off as well. Extra cheese on mine, he says, and Karen nods as he ruffled her hair a little. The 2 teens and toddlers make their way to the dining room where Rebecca and Kaguya are seated with a taunton. Where's Shizune and Konan? Naruto asks. Konan is still working at the hospital, Tsunade says. Konan Atsuko is one of the prisoners found at Gato's compound and the man planned to sell her in a slave auction. She decided to follow Naruto and his cadre as they had saved her from such a horrid fate. Thanks for the food, everyone says, and starts eating. Naruto picks up half his cheesesteak as the extra cheese oozes from it. You are going to be backed up from all that cheese, Boldora comments. You're thinking about my bowel movements, Naruto thought, continuing to eat with happy noises. Naruto, do you know where you and the others will head to train? Tsunade says after a sip of tea. I want to learn to fully control Voldora's chakra, but also gain experience, Naruto replies. If that is the case, you would need to head to Kumogakure, Sakura says, cutting Karen's sandwich. Why Kumo? Kaguya asks. Of all the nations with Jinchuriki, Kumo has a track record of creating perfect Jinchuriki, unlike the unstable Mizukage of Kurigakure, who many call the perfect Jinchuriki. Kumo has 2 true perfect Jinchuriki, Yujito Nai, and holder of the Nibi, and Killer Bee, holder of the Hachibi, but he's also the Raikage's brother, Sakura says. Minato tangled a lot with A and B during the war, adds. To think Jayuki would get along with his host, the world might end soon, Voldora comments. Jayuki is that bad, Naruto thought, as Sakura explained what perfect were. Jayuki is pretty bullheaded, bad experiences when we were smaller, Voldora says. So to become a perfect Jinchuriki, Naruto would need to go to Kumogakure, Kushina says. Wouldn't the Raikage recognize Naruto as the Hokage's son, Rebecca says, and Sakura nods. They recognize his strength, but also family, Sakura says. Lunch soon finishes and Naruto heads out to the backgrounds to work off his sandwich with Rebecca and Kaguya watching from the deck. Naruto summons Bren and Kaiser to watch him, but also gives tips as he brings out Vortex Gaze and a clone that brings out Vortex Pain as both stare each other down. You possess affinities for water and air, both can be gentle, but both can be very violent, Bren says. Naruto moves forward with a flurry of strikes as his clones block, parries or even counters. From a gentle breeze to a raging hurricane or a serene lake to a powerful maelstrom such as the power of wind and water, Kaiser adds. Gaze gains a sharpness as Naruto adds his ton and wind to the sword. The clone counters with pain glowing a light blue and the blades seemingly flowing like water. The clash ramps up more as both pick up their speed as the swords become a flurry of movement, clangs, and sparks as both circle each other. Naruto manages to disarm his clone into a spinning upward slice to dispel the clone before dispelling the sword with a roll of his neck. He then shifts into a stance of standing on his toes with his left outstretched and his right close to his chin. I wonder who he'll shadow box this time, Rebecca says. Naruto slowly closes his eyes as the sea wind washes over his body before his left arm starts to move like a piston on an imaginary opponent. His head moves on a swivel as he dodges punches as his left moves from right to left but right crashes forward. Rebecca and Kaguya focus and can barely out the form of a stocky fighter's head flying back from Naruto's right. It's like Naruto is conjuring an opponent from the ether, a voice says, and both look to see. She has fair skin with amber eyes and shoulder-length blue hair, wearing a white blouse and black pants with a red scarf around her neck. It is known as image training, Bren says, landing on the deck fence. So like Conan said, conjuring an opponent from his mind, Rebecca says, and Bren nods her head. The three turn their attention back to Naruto as his moves become more focused as the image's fist moves faster and harder. His footwork, his movements, the image he created is strong, Sakura says, standing behind the three girls with Kushina. What is the image based on? Kaguya asks. Sakura watches Naruto's movements as he seems to be bracing for punches from right to left but sending a vague outline of moves. Naruto was a bit of a bookworm in his younger days, something I believe you two know, she says, and both nod, confusing. When he was here he did the same between his training. He read about many fighters and built the image he is fighting by using a jinjutsu, Sakura says. Jinjutsu, Rebecca says. It is a self-inflicted one of sorts, Sakura says, seeing Naruto's guard break open. The blonde suddenly creates a gap into a full power right to his imagined opponent, sending him crashing back into the sand. Naruto releases a deep breath and falls on his rear with a sigh with a rub of his arms, a little better, Voldora says, and Naruto chuckles. He kips up and brings out a bow staff from his armature before spinning around in right hand and closing his eyes once again. Naruto slowly starts to move the staff around in what appears to be an intricate dance, striking at invisible foes with precise thrusts of staff like a spear. Your weapons are an extension of your limbs no matter the weapon, Kaiser says. Naruto leaps with a burst of chakra into a spear thrust, landing in a front flip to a crouch, but springs up into a series of twirls of the staff and spins to bring the staff down to disturb the sand. He pulls back into another spin with staff to cut the air, as if he was cutting a drop of water. Naruto halts and dispels the staff, but just as quickly brings out a vortex to pull it taut, firing a burst of wind to create a small split of the water. Uncle Ravas, Mom, I will continue to grow stronger and perhaps someday I'll find the ones who took you away from me, Naruto thought. It would be a month later when Naruto and company would leave for the land of lightning and to get the five into the village, Sakura would have Kushina and by extension Naruto broker a treaty between Kumo and the terms were fair trade between the two nations, with possibly providing seals of various varieties for a price. Kushina would say goodbye to her mother and baby sister, but also Arya and Taunton, as Naruto did the same. There would be two routes for the group to take, with one being by sea and moving through Frost Country or travel by land. Naruto and company chose the latter as a way to further train themselves, but also incorporate into their group, teaching her some of the skills they learned in the Kingsglaive and Crown Guard. Conan would also learn their life stories of Naruto's life until 5, leaving with his uncle and traveling south to Niflheim with Kushina. Kaguya's life when her mother was assaulted by a clan member, to how her village was wiped by people working for the slave auction. To Rebecca's family being killed and her being sold into slavery by a former friend of the family. Conan told her own story of how she grew in the country of Omegakure, a place of perpetual battles and rain. How the family attempted to escape Hanzo the Salamander's isolationist actions at the cost of her father, but slaves would kill her mother and would sell her too. This talk about their lives further joined the group but also added to their merry band of misfits. The group would skirt along the coast of Fire Country up towards Hot Water Country, dealing with bandits and helping small villages. Each time Naruto would use the name Vortex Heart, something the others adopted, as well with Kushina taking the name Vortex Spade. Kaguya taking Vortex Club, Rebecca going for Vortex Diamond, and Conan going with Vortex Ace. The hoods of their frock coats hid their faces with Kaguya, and they bought hooded cloaks. Hot Water Country, Naruto and company could barely hold their stomachs at the sight before them of several people killed in a variety of ways, so you don't know who is killing the people, he says, his hood hiding his face. The man behind them shakes his head with a frightened look on his face. No, we thought it was a man called Hayden from the now defunct Yugikure no Sado, but he left the country some 2 years ago, he says. Why did you think it was him? Conan asks, and the man points to the symbol carved into a woman's forehead of an upside-down triangle in a circle. The symbol of jashin, Naruto says, and the man nods rapidly. I read about Hayden that he practices the way of jashin and is immortal, the blonde adds. I read that too, but how is he immortal? Kushina says, but Naruto shrugs. Will you help us? The man says. We'll investigate. I'm Vortex Heart. They are Spade Club Diamond and Ace, Naruto says. Thank you for helping us. I am Yukage. Follow me and we'll get you a place to stay, the man says. Naruto gives the bodies one last look and follows the others into a small town which has hot spring inn after hot spring inn. Yukage got them 2 conjoined rooms in one of the best inns in town as a down payment for dealing with the person responsible. Naruto would remain in his section of the room as the girls decided to check out the hot springs of the inn. This will delay us getting to Kumo, Kaguya says, sinking into the hot spring surrounded by stones with tall bamboo walls around them. Maybe, but it allows them to gain some notoriety, Kushina says, liking the feel of the water, as Rebecca and Conan follow suit. Can I ask something? Conan asks, and the 3 nod. What is Naruto to you comrades or something, Marshi adds. He's our boyfriend, Kushina says, glancing at Rebecca and Kaguya with both nodding. Before we left Insomnia we agreed to share Naruto. We may still be young, but we love Naruto, Rebecca adds. He saved us and deserves all the happiness he can get, Kaguya says. Conan looks down at the steaming water and could see her reflection. I see, she says, but Kushina and Rebecca could see that Conan may have a crush on their blonde. They change the subject. Do you think we'll find the person doing the killing? Rebecca says. You saw the bodies. I doubt someone who did such a thing would keep a low profile, Kushina says, as Conan and Kaguya cover their mouths. Footsteps echo, and all 4 girls look to see a gorgeous woman approaching the spring. She has a breathtaking figure with a slender waist and large yupai with cascading raven hair to the middle of her back. Her eyes were also a haunting jade green. Hello ladies, and here I thought the spring was empty, the woman says, stepping into the water and removing her towel. Hello, Ms. Kushina says. You can call me Mihim, the woman says, as the others introduce themselves. You seem a little young to be on your own. There is a killer on the loose, Mihim says. We're trained, Kushina says, and Mihim's green eyes widen slightly. Inoichi interesting says, and runs her smaller towel along her forehead. Tell me girls, have you heard of the hot spring, where you can see those who have died, she adds. People who have died, Rebecca says. Surely something like that doesn't exist, but smiles, showing her pearly whites. Oh, but it does, Mihim says, before leaving the 4 girls to their devices. Think she is telling the truth, Kushina says. I got a bad vibe from her, Kaguya says, unaware of how right she is. They leave the hot spring and dry off to slip on their blue-striped robes and make their way back to their room. Kushina knocks on Naruto's door and the blonde opens it as the 4 enter. Was the hot spring good? He asks after taking a seat on his bed. You should try it, Kushina says. We also heard a story about one of the hot springs that can let you see the dead, Rebecca says. That's odd, Naruto says. But the person who told us gave off this strange vibe, Kaguya adds. Naruto cups his chin in thought. We'll explore the village more and ask around, he says. Well, we're going to get some food, Kushina says, and Naruto nods. I'll check out the hot spring, Naruto says, as the 4 go through the door conjoining their room. The hot spring to see the dead, Bildora comments. Naruto leaves his room in thought, but the dragon could tell the blonde was curious. It may just be stories to get people to check their hot springs, Naruto thought. He takes a shower to clean himself up and finally makes his way to the hot spring with a towel around his waist, showing off his tattoos of a silver and blue phoenix around his left arm with a lion-tiger hybrid on his back. I doubt such a hot spring would exist, Bren comments, as the blonde slips into the water and winces a little from the heat. They're probably right. Regardless, we'll check things out because my instincts are telling me this town is off, Naruto thought. Music. Hidden theme, Naruto asked. The tearing of flesh and screams filled a large cavern as people were being brutalized by robed figures with a symbol carved into their foreheads. The cavern is fairly large with 2 entrances having tree roots surrounding the entrances. The victims were mentally gone from the torture and madness of their captors. Your deaths are in service, Jashin, one howls, stabbing a young woman multiple times. Others were doing the same and screaming as another 2 robed figures entered from a path under the roots of a tree. One removes their hood to reveal, and the other is, the girls are Kunoichi, she says. I don't know which village they are from, but they fell for my cover story concerning the sacrifices. Mihim shifts her gaze to a long tub on a raised section. No matter, these Kunoichi will be fitting sacrifices to Jashin and grant me immortality, she says, approaching the tub and stripping off her robe. She climbs into the tub as a few of her followers drag several girls towards her. A few of the girls are forced to kneel at the edge of the tub before their throats are slit and their blood floods into the tub. Mihem moans as she feels the blood touch her skin. "Ah, blood always allows me to remain this beautiful, and once I gain immortality, not even hiding can stop me," she says. Mihem's followers continue to sacrifice girls for Mihem's bloodbath until the tub is halfway full of blood. "What shall we do with one known?" as Heart says. Mihem cups some blood and raises it to cover her face with some slipping down her throat. "Leave him a trail to follow and kill him. Also have some spread the story of the hot spring," she says, and bows at the waist. Mihem continues her blood bath and even pleasures herself with the blood, but is unaware her dream of eternal life would remain simply a dream. Song ends. Naruto moves through the forest on the trail of his quarry after spending a week in this hot spring town, while Kushina and the others chase the rumor of a hot spring, allowing one to see their deceased friends or family. The five were starting to see that the townspeople of this small hot spring town were off. However, Naruto and his comrade notice some dark machinations among the people, causing the blind to take steps on the matter. Up ahead, Ren says, flying above Naruto at the size of a raven. Naruto sees a person in a black cloak squatting over a visitor of the town. "What are you doing?" he shouts. The figure slowly rises and turns to Naruto with blood dripping from their left hand but a scythe on their right hand. The scythe itself is red and silver with two blades etched in symbols. "Oh, another sacrifice to Jashin," the figure says, revealing his gender. "So you're the culprit," Naruto says. The figure removes their cloak and tosses it aside to reveal a sickly-looking man with short blonde hair spiked up on the sides and a couple of strands falling over his forehead. He has red eyes that are deeply sunken in and an earring in his left ear, wearing a long dark coat with a high collar, pants, and sandals. "My name is Ryuki and you will be my sacrifice," the figure says, a crazed smile and eyes on his face. Naruto narrows his eyes and brings out vortex pain with a serious look. "Well, come and try," he says. Ryuki blitzes with a flurry of strikes and they have no rhythm or reason as Naruto parries each. "Come on, bleed for me," Ryuki howls. Naruto retreats with a skid and breaks right towards a tree to run, but Ryuki slices into the tree, causing it to fall, but Naruto comes down with a helm break. Ryuki gets his scythe up to block as his boots dig into the dirt, but the crazed look doesn't leave his face. Naruto dispels pain and grabs the scythe to monkey flip Ryuki over him. Ryuki crashes to the ground as Naruto kips, but the crazed man only laughs. "I can't wait to sacrifice you to Jashin. Though I would prefer that bunny girl, Mihem will have her and those other girls," Ryuki says. "What?" Naruto says. Ryuki staggers to his feet with a mad giggling. "Those girls with you will be sacrificed to make Mihem immortal like Haiden," he says. "So Mihem is the mastermind of this little charade," Naruto says. "Correct, and if you were to get past me, Mihem will have killed them all already," laughing, but Naruto starts laughing with him to the madman's shock. "I think you need to reverse that statement. Mihem will be killed by them," Naruto says. Ryuki's crazed look shifts into a murderous one as he slowly crouches to pick his scythe. "You will pay for besmirching Mihem," he hisses. Naruto brings out the vortex fangs and flips both into a reverse grip with a crossguard stance. Ryuki makes the first moves with a wide swing of his scythe, but Naruto blocks before ducking under the scythe to rush towards. He quickly yanks on the scythe to try and pierce Naruto from behind, but the blood Kawarimi with a log. Arg screams as one of the vortex fangs pierces his right shoulder. Naruto holds the vortex abandoned with the other vortex fang as an arrow before releasing, and the force behind it shears off Ryuki's left arm at the shoulder. Ryuki clutches his stump with wide eyes to the point of being bloodshot. "You only gives me pleasure," he says. Naruto pulls on his bow with a blank look, "Then allows me to give you the little death," he says, firing a few wind arrows. They pierce in the chest, stomach and forehead as the crazed man falls with a look of pleasure etched on his face. "What a disgusting man," Ren says. Naruto stares at Ryuki's corpse and points to his left hand, abolishing flame, he utters, as a blue flame erupts from his hand to incinerate Ryuki's body. "I wonder if the others are finished," Naruto says, before heading back to town. Mihem stares in horror as her carefully crafted plan for eternal life goes up in flames at the hands of 14 girls. The plan was simple, as she would perform the ritual of immortality with 20 girls, and she had already sacrificed 16 for it, using various travelers and spreading the story of the hot spring, capable of showing one's deceased loved ones. The town is filled with her followers, so no one was the wiser if tourists were killed. It would be easy to blame bandits or missing nin, and the town would profit by using the tourists' belongings by selling them. They were supposed to be weak girls though. Rebecca is blowing out kneecaps and limbs with her quicksilvers, while Kushina is tearing through Mihem's followers with her chain sword. Conan is using the hot spring as a water source for various paper shuriken, which are as lethal as metal ones, and Kaguya uses her magic to stop Mihem's followers. Mihem grabs a spear with a crazed look on her face and charges towards Kaguya to perform a curse technique on her, but she cries out as right kneecap explodes with blood. "You little bitch," shrieks, now on the ground with her right leg now useless. "You're the bitch killing innocent people for your stupid ritual," Kushina says. "How dare you besmirch Lord Jashin," Mihem hisses. Rebecca points her quicksilvers at, "We dare because your god doesn't deserve respect," Rebecca says. Mihem struggles to move, but her eyelids become heavy as Kaguya uses a spell on her. "You girls have finished," Kaiser says, his teeth and claws stained with blood. Kushina creates a few clones to lead the survivors out as she picks up and lays her own Kaiser. "Has Naruto made it back to the town?" Kushina says. Kaguya closes her eyes and looks through her swallows of air. "Yes, he's in the center of the town with Mukage," she says. "Can you teleport us?" Kushina says. Kaguya holds her staff with both hands as the others group up as Kaguya channels her magic as the surrounding blur shifts from the cavern to the town square. Kaiser dispels and drops on her stomach as the others see Naruto with a sword pointed as, but also see villagers approaching. Fills them sputters, now awake. Naruto glances back to the crippled woman. "There we have confirmation you belong to her cult," he says. "She forced me to whisper." Naruto narrows his eyes and looks over the villagers. "So she forces you all to perpetrate her and her cult's murders, yet you wear expensive jewelry or possess trinkets from travelers," he says, but two clones pop to life before changing into a mother and daughter to the horror of the crowd. "When Kushina and the others told me about the spring, I wanted to test the theory. Something I saw in the past," Naruto said, and all but Conan frowned, confusing her. "We killed him," hisses, but screams as Rebecca blows out her other kneecap. "Yes, you did. That girl over there has the doll of the child. You people are accessories to their crimes for your own greed," Naruto says, and the villagers try to defend themselves. Declaring the springs were starting to dry up and other towns were prospering, when offered them the wares of the dead they took it. "You killed innocent people," Kushina shouts, and they continue to defend their actions. Mihem tries to crawl past Naruto and his group, but the blonde manifests a silver greatsword to drive it into Mihem's back, causing her to scream in pain and pleasure mixed in. "You people are vile and have taught your children such actions, however that will be your undoing. The moment you killed those two, I sent messages to every village around this town. They will know every one of your crimes, that will be your judgment, and I pray to God that you relive every craven, selfish and vile act you've committed," Naruto says. "Who are you to judge us?" says, but Kushina twists the blade in her back. "We may be children, but we have seen the horrors people can commit. However, I hope every one of you feels the same pain you brought upon those whose deaths you profited upon," Kushina says, before ripping out the sword and slicing off Mihem's head. The teens give one last look at the people and leave the town, but the country itself. Their enjoyment of hot springs is nearly irreparably damaged as they leave the hot water country, each of them trying to come to terms with what they witnessed and nightmares haunting them for a few weeks. They passed through Frost Country, and the name was sort of ironic, as Frost was nowhere to be found until they reached near the border of Lightning. The Land of Lightning is a country of mountain ranges and rivers heading towards the ocean itself with a crooked coastline. They continue to make a name for themselves by dealing with bandits, a few missing men that were weaker than, and gaining a little notoriety with the country that might reach before them. They also had to endure numerous lightning storms and monsoon-like weather in some areas. This would inundate them a few times, but for Conan and Kaguya it was a chance to enjoy the rain and play in it, something they dragged Naruto and the others into. The journey continues, and they pass through the many mountain ranges towards Kumogakure, finding the village literally hidden among the clouds itself. Kumogakure no Sado. The Yondaime Reikage Yutsuki sits at his desk with a pen in his right hand and a 50-pound dumbbell in his left. He has dark skin with a large muscular build, white hair combed back, a small mustache, and goatee. His face has pronounced cheekbones and tear troughs under his eyes and a prominent crease across his forehead. He wears a white haori without a shirt and large golden vambraces on his wrists. He also wears a gold belt around his waist with a boar's face engraved in the center, black pants with style shin guards, and shinobi sandals. The door opens, and A looks up to see his secretary Mabui, A-same. "We have a small group from Yazushio," she says. "Yazushio," A says, and nods. She has matcha skin with green eyes and light gray hair pulled back into a bun with two bangs that fall on either side of her face. She wears a dark long-sleeve high-collar dress shirt-skirt combo, along with a pair of long earrings and high-heel sandals. "Yes, one of them is the daughter of Sakura Uzumaki, and another to me resembles Minato Namikaze," Mabui says, and A places his dumbbell down. "Where are they?" A says. "They were in one of the meeting rooms and had a scroll with details of a possible alliance," Mabui says, handing the scroll. He opens it and reads the details about willing to sell various based items, even offering to teach their ninja through. "Interesting. Bring me Sakura's daughter and Minato's supposed son," A says, and bows at the waist. A sits to await the pair, but someone decides to involve themselves. Yo brother, shouts one killer B and his younger brother. What are you doing here, B? A says. B has dark skin, having a muscular build with white hair and a goatee, oval-shaped sunglasses, and a wide 8. He wears a one-strap over one shoulder flak jacket and a long red rope belt tied around his waist, the standard hand and shin guards, shinobi sandals, and a white scarf around his neck with 7 swords. The star 8 sensed Mistanine in the village, B says, and raps a little. Shut up, B, prepare yourself, Hachibi or Jayuki says. The door opens as Mabui enters with Naruto and Kushina as A narrows his eyes towards the blonde. Hello Yandame-sama, my name is Kushina Uzumaki and my friend Naruto Nox Fluid, Kushina says. Nox Fluid A questions and Naruto slowly nods. Why not Namikaze, he adds, shocking B. These the yellow flashes, little flash, B says. A leans forward on his desk with his eyes on Naruto. Well, why are you Yuzashio and not Konoha, he says. It's a complicated matter, Yandame-sama, Naruto says, but sees B staring at him. Jayuki must have sensed me, Buldora says. I see, so why does the Whirlpool Maiden want to align with Kumo? Aren't they Konoha's allies? Our alliance with Konoha is almost non-existent, so mom wants to look for greener acres. Everything written in the scroll is what Yuzashio is offering, Kushina says. A taps the scroll a few times with a nod. I can see that, but my curiosity on why the Kairoi Senko-san is here in Kumo states my curiosity, and I may accept an alliance between Kumo and Yuzashio, he says. Kushina glances at Naruto with a soft look on her face, but before she could tell him he didn't have to, the blonde raises his hands to stop her. I'm sure every major nation has heard about the Kyuubi incident, Naruto says, and nods. Well, my mother Lunafreya Nox Fluid sealed the Kyuubi inside me mere hours after I was born by invoking the Shinigami and using a seal made by the Uzumaki, he continues. Lunafreya Nox Fluid was your mother? I've heard about the Oracle Healer, Mabui says, and Naruto nods. My condolences, she adds, causing Naruto to nod once again. So Konoha got their hands on the strongest Bijuu, and its Jinchuriki is Kairoi Senko's own son, A says. Son would be a loose term in Minato's mind. To him I am a bastard from his southern fling. He married the Fire Lord's grandniece, and she gave him 2 daughters. In his eyes they could do no wrong, and I could only do wrong, Naruto says, clenching his fist tightly. His fears of Jinchuriki pushed me away, and at 5 I left Konoha for Niflheim with my uncle Naruto. So he left the Jinchuriki of the strongest Bijuu leave with no fuss. A questions, and Naruto nods, looking the cage in his eyes. Konoha is a superstitious place, and the villagers, but also ninja, have preconceived notions when it concerns Jinchuriki. The mad Mizukage comes to mind, Naruto says. I thought Minato Namikaze was a noble man, but to abandon his own son in such a manner, comments. So why did you come with little red little 9Bs? Lady Sakura told me that Kumo has trained perfect Jinchuriki, and I want to do the same and become a perfect Jinchuriki, as well to use Voldora's power, Naruto says, and Ace stares at the young blonde before him. Why should Kumo train you to become a perfect Jinchuriki? Are you going to become a ninja of Kumogakure? No, but you can say to the world that you trained Minato Namikaze's son better than he ever could, Naruto says. A leans back in chair and pushes it back to rise to his feet before rounding the desk to loom over Naruto in thought. He takes him and his little group to the Unrakum test his metal. A says. You got it, brother, follow me little 9, it's time I shine, B says. Naruto and his group look around in wonder at the Unrakum, or Valley of Clouds and Lightning, as it was a large water-filled valley covered in clouds. They were walking down a very long length of steps that were adorned with eastern dragons, as bees rapped non-stop, something that was annoying to both Kushina and Rebecca. The group of 6 soon reached the bottom of the stairs to a large area, but Naruto sees 4 people already there. Raiden? Shiroreki, one shouts. She is a girl around Naruto's age with blonde hair cut in an asymmetrical bob and has ice blue eyes, wearing a grey outfit with fingerless white gloves on. Samui is shining with her white lightning. B comments. Looks like we get to meet the Hellcat herself, Fuldora comments. Naruto sees another woman with long, straight blonde hair bound with taut bandages, dark eyes, and red lipstick. She wears a short-sleeved black and purple blouse and black pants, both of which have a design similar to clouds on them, purple fingerless gloves, and a chain of blue beads wound around her left hand. Yodarui, Shiyujido, and Samui. I brought some new friends to meet the B shouts, getting their attention. Seems B brought Voldora's host here, a voice says, within Yujido's mind. These Voldora's Jinchuriki, Matatabi, Yujido thought, but glances to see Samui has a little pink on her cheeks. Seems Samui instantly likes him, she thought. Who are they, Lord B? She says. He has dark eyes and short blonde hair parted in the front. He wears a sleeveless black shirt with a one strap over one shoulder white flak jacket, black elbow-length arm guards, and the red and white shin guards, along with a pair of sandals. This is Naruto Nox Flora Kushina Uzumaki Rebecca Victoria Kaguya Itsuki, and Konan Itsuko B says, and the 5 waves, they are Dari Shi Samui, and Yujito B adds. Are those real? Samui asks, pointing to Kaguya's ears. They are. I am from Niflheim, and I am a demihuman, Kaguya says. They are pretty rare this far north, Dari says. He is fairly tall and dark-skinned with a slightly bulbous nose, black eyes, and shaggy white hair that covers his left eye. He wears a high-collar, sleeveless uniform with loose-fitting pants, bandages on his wrists, and the one strap over one shoulder flak jacket. Why are they here? Yujito asks. B places a hand on Naruto's right shoulder. Little Nine wants to fully shine, B says. Little Nine says, but his breath hitches with a no face. Bratha wants me to spar with him. Sorry to interrupt your party, B says. Spar, Yujito comments. I think the boss would allow this, says. Perhaps it is because my father is Minato Namikaze, Naruto comments, shocking the 4 ninja. You're the Yellow Flash's son, Yujito says. Naruto unzips his frock coat and hands it to Kushina, unfortunately, but he fears me instead of caring for me, he says. Ready, Little Nine, B shouts. Naruto pops his joints with a roll of his neck as everyone moves back while B starts writing in a small notebook but puts it away and tosses his 7 swords into the air. B allows the swords to fall, and he holds the 7 blades in between his left armpit, both elbows, right leg, stomach, the right side of his neck, and in his mouth. 7 swords Naruto thought brought out vortex pain. B manifested a sword from thin air, Samui says. The sum in question. More along the lines of a bloodline, Kushina says. Music. Naruto asked, Killer B theme. A small standoff starts as Naruto shifts into a Gatatsu stance as B stands motionless, but the host leaps into a front spin as Naruto parries his furious strikes. He parries and counters, but B's moves are nonsensical with no discernible pattern. B dances around with multiple strikes from his swords and manages to send Naruto flying with a mule kick. B launches after Naruto with a furious rush of strikes as the blonde lands, but he has to sidestep and dodge B's swords as he lands, picking them up as he goes. Naruto continues to try and force his way through B's defense, but the ninja parries each attack, cutting Naruto in various places on his body. He's good with 7 swords, Vildora comments as Naruto skids to a halt and shoots forward with a stinger, but B dodges. Naruto narrowly dodges B's downward boot and manages to get his sword up to block the downward sword strike, but it leaves him open for B to send him crashing to the ground with several rolls, losing vortex pain in the process. I'm impressed he's lasted this long against B's 7 sword style, Yujito comments. What is up with his moves? I can even predict where he's going to strike, Kushina says. That's what makes Lord B dangerous, Dari says, but his eyes widen as Naruto weaves signs and links his hands together. Ranton. Laser Circus, Naruto shouts, firing several light blue lasers. Does he know Ranton? She says. So that's another reason he came to Kumo. As we are known for our Ranton users, Yujito says. How can he know Ranton? Samui says, seeing B dodge Naruto's attack. Jinchuriki can gain a pseudo-Kekkei Genkai from their Biju, you've seen my flames, Yujito says, and Samui nods. Well, the Kyuubi is known as the Storm Dragon, so he's gained the Storm Release, Yujito explains. Naruto rushes forward and brings out Vortex Gaze as he channels through the sword, but B smirks as he channels as well. Their blades meet as Naruto fails to overpower the B, float like butterfly, B says, raising his right arm and leg. B parries Naruto's blade and skewers the blonde with 5 of his blades, stinging like a killer B, B says to Kushina, and the others shock. Naruto? They shout as Naruto crashes to the ground and B rushes him. However, the halts in his tracks, as this time it is the group in shock as 20 blades were pointed at the B. Oh Little Nine, no need turn me into a porcupine, B says. Song end. Naruto has his right hand raised with one eye open due to the pain and his breath heavy but falls on his back as his swords fade into dust. Kushina and the others rush to Naruto's side to pull the swords as Kaguya starts to heal him. Little Nine really did shine, B says, but sees Kushina glaring at him, causing him to back off. Yujito stares at the young blonde in thought but was impressed with the skills he showed. He can become quite the ninja, she thought. Naruto slowly gets to his feet with a groan. I can see why you were a contemporary to my father, he says. Yellow Flash is a powerful guy and makes his opponents cry, B says. So will you teach me to fully use Vildora's chakra, Naruto says. One spar with B doesn't mean we'll teach you. You have to earn it, Yujito says, and Naruto narrows his eyes. 6 months would pass before Naruto would be allowed to even attempt to become perfect. Naruto and company were allowed to remain in, but they would have to perform missions for A in exchange. The missions were not diabolical, but tests to see Naruto's skills in action, from fighting missing nin, bandits, and even sneaking into other countries. Naruto and company would spar, train with, and be with the blondes, getting to know one another. Samui is the adopted sister of and possesses a mutation of the affinity, which produces white lightning, and compared to Daru's black lightning is faster. What neither knows is that Yujito is pushing her adopted sister towards Naruto and his group, as she feels that certain elements in Kumo would use Samui for dark purposes. Naruto's natural charisma drew in, and they became fast friends, something Kushina and her fellow girls noticed but liked to let into their circle. Speaking of, the origami user would confess on Naruto's 14th birthday that she had feelings for him, something Naruto accepted, and Kushina said his harem was growing. This would spur Samui to do the same about 2 months later, declaring she had feelings for him and wanted to explore those feelings. Again Naruto accepted or had no choice, and despite the group growing to 5, he was attentive to their various needs, something each girl appreciated, and were attentive to his needs as well. During their various missions, the group continued with the names Naruto came up with in Hot Water Country, with getting the name Joker, and her coming up with the name of their group being the Vortex Royals. Soon the day would come when B declared Naruto was ready to venture to Turtle Island and become a perfect Genbu or Turtle Island. So what's Turtle Island? Naruto says, standing on the deck of a boat with Kushina. Yujito stands with her arms folded as B is scribbling in his notebook, but it is their guide Modoi who answers. Genbu serves as Lord B's personal training ground and place where he and Lady Yujito train to become perfect, says. He has dark brown, spiky hair and dark eyes with a dark green mark that runs down the bridge of his nose, wearing the standard attire and adding a gray scarf. Naruto looks out the ocean as the boat continues on through heavy mist. So Genbu is a giant turtle, he asks. He's wearing black pants with gold trim with boots, a form-fitting long-sleeve shirt with no right sleeve, and the left sleeve having an attached glove, and a sleeveless hoodie also with gold trim. Yes, Genbu has been in the care of Kumogakure since its creation, and he allows certain shinobi to train on his back, Yujito says, and glances at B. There are also many dangerous animals as well, but B has tamed them, she adds. How dangerous? Kushina asks, wearing a similar outfit to Naruto, but has 2 fingerless gloves. Genbu ahead, prepare your head, B shouts. Naruto and Kushina focus their attention as spikes start to appear from the mist, but the blonde sees numerous skulls, corpses, as a bellowing noise echoes. Wow, Kushina says. Looks like a lovely place, Naruto says, looking away and making a face. The group soon make their way onto Genbu's shell, and Naruto sees there is forest on the supermassive turtle's back. A large gorilla with several scars tried to impede their way, but the bee calmed him down, and he let them pass. I see what you mean by bee taming the animals, Kushina says. Indeed, Lord B stands atop the hierarchy of the wildlife, comments. The gorilla named King lets them pass, and they continue on until they reach a large building in the shape of a muscular Ushioni, with 4 long horns on its head. Eldora cries, seeing the building, but Naruto says nothing, as leads them inside. This will be your room, Modoi says, pointing to the door on the 3rd floor. So when do we start training? Naruto says. If you wish to start now we can, Yujito says, glancing to see B strolling off to do who knows what. That's fine, Naruto says. Then put your things away, and I'll take you to where Lord B trained, Modoi says. Naruto and Kushina enter the room and put their backpacks away to follow Modoi, but also Yujito, as she drags B along. They leave the Ushioni-themed building and pass through the forest with bees greeting several large animals like an armadillo, wolves, large bears, and an anteater. The 5 soon reach a waterfall with a pool of water and a small piece of land in the center. This is the waterfall of truth, and it is the first step in fully controlling a Biju says. I did the same to control Matatabi's chakra. Sit there and close your eyes, Yujito says. Then the truth will be revealed to you, Bakarem. Konoyarm. B says. The waterfall will reveal your true self, Modoi adds. Naruto stares at the waterfall, but then to the small piece of land and slowly nods as he walks on the water towards the land. He slowly takes a seat and crosses his legs as he closes his eyes to focus. Before long the blonde hears sniffling and crying. But I want to stay with you. I'll be a good boy, P, please let me stay. Why would dad send me away? I'm not a bad boy, a voice says. Naruto slowly opens his eyes as the area is misty, but his eyes widen as a small figure emerges from the waterfall. Why would dad send me away? The little figure says, but Naruto recognizes him immediately as himself at 5. It seems my true self is me from then, wondering why my dad decided to push me away, Naruto says. Little Naruto continues to sniffle and cry as Naruto sees his eyes were puffy but also bloodshot from his crying. I remember crying myself to sleep that day. How can a father break his son's heart in such a manner? Naruto says as little Naruto continues to cry and mumble the same thing. Because he's a coward, Voldora says, and Naruto grips his knees. He chose the many over his family, his own son. He chose preconceived notions over his son, Voldora adds. Little Naruto is now inches from Naruto with tears in his big blue eyes. Why, his little self says, as Azure Blue stares into Azure Blue. You're right, I was just a kid from his dead fiancé. He moved on from mom with ease. All to remain, Hokage Naruto says, and pulls his younger self into his chest. Just wait for Minato Namikaze. I'll show you Cersei Azula and Asuka, how strong I am. I'll be someone you can't ignore, Naruto says, and his younger self stops sniffling and crying as he fades away. Naruto slowly opens his eyes and rises to his feet as the bee approaches. Shall we control the Kyuubi's power now, B says, and Naruto nods. B leads them through the waterfall to reveal a temple with engraving and murals of the and with headless bodhisattva-like sculptures. These are past Jinchuriki who failed to pass, B says. For real, Kushina says. Stop joking. They are simply broken, Yujito says, and chuckles. He leads to a sculpture of the Matatabi's head. Only the chosen can pass through. Stick your head inside and be judged, B says. Naruto looks between B and Kushina, but slowly approaches to kneel before sticking his head inside to see a small switch, and he pushes. The wall groans, and the door slowly opens to a myriad of colors. Go inside and do exactly like you did at the Waterfall of Truth, says, as the four enter. What sort of seal was used to seal the Kyuubi? B asks. The tetragram seal, Kushina replies. That is a seal more solid than mine or B's seal. Does it need a key? Yujito asks, but Naruto shakes his head. The seal filters Voldora's chakra into mine. Because of this my chakra grows with each passing year, Naruto says. Then that makes things easier, B says, as the door closes and he takes a seat. Yujito and Kushina stand off to the side as Naruto takes a seat as B holds out his fist. Grab the Kyuubi's chakra with your own chakra. Take his chakra and become number one, where B says. Music. Fairy Tale Lost Dragon Raid. Naruto enters his mindscape and stares at the purple lake which has grown over the years before making his way towards Voldora's chamber. The dragon is waiting for the blonde with a gleam in his eye. We don't have to fight for you to gain my chakra because we're friends, Voldora says, holding out one of his claws. Naruto smiles and holds out his fist to touch the dragon's claw. Best friends, he says, causing a glowing effect. Outside, Yujito's eyes widen slightly as she sees black steel scales forming on Naruto's bare right arm, and Kushina prepares her chains in case. Seems Voldora has formed a connection with young Naruto, Matatabi says. It would seem so, Yujito thought. The scales move down the arm and she sees it slowly creep up Naruto's neck to his face and over his closed eyes. The chakra cloak formed next with 3 tails of red chakra, slowly 4 then 5, and the last 6 tails were now visible. Yujito could see that Naruto was now struggling. He's still too young to bring all of Voldora's chakra, but to get to 6 tails at his age, she thought. That's enough, little 9, no need to bring all 9, B says, as red-orange tails emerge from his body to ensnare Naruto, as his eyes open to reveal reptilian azure blue eyes. Naruto releases a slow breath as his draconic features slowly fade. So what happens now, he says. We go to the shared mindscape, B says, beckoning for. Won't take long, little red, B says. Yujito sits next to Naruto as B holds out both his fist and both bump fists with him. Naruto gasps as he finds himself in a large expanse with an orange hue to the ground. Where are we? He says. This is a place where we can meet, but rarely, Voldora says. The massive dragon is standing behind him but leans down to let Naruto onto his snout. Matatabi and Jayuki should arrive soon, Voldora says. Soon Naruto sees 2 large animals slowly appearing with bees, and one is large with 2 tails but completely engulfed in cobalt blue and black flames like Akasha, but the flames are more animated. It also has heterochromatic eyes, the right being yellow and the left being green, similar to an odd-eyed cat without pupils. The other is an Ushi Oni with 4 long horns on its head, but one of the lower horns is missing, a muscular upper body structure with a hunched back and spiky protrusions on the elbows and hands with opposable thumbs. Instead of hind legs, its lower half consists of its 8 tails, which resemble the cephalopod arms of an octopus. Meet Matatabi and Jayuki, Voldora says. Greetings, Naruto knocks fluid, Matatabi says on her head. Jayuki stares, but sighs with B on his head wrapping, but he flips him off. So you were finally sealed away, says, his tone serious. I was under the control of a man with a Sharingan, and his mother sealed inside him to keep from killing more people, Voldora comments. I thought the Uchiha were loyal to Konohagakure, Yujito says. Perhaps it was a Rouge Uchiha or someone who came into possession of a Sharingan, Naruto comment. HMPH, you were weak enough to get controlled. Now you know what the rest of us felt, Jayuki says. You wanna dance, Calamari, Voldora says, before a large puff of smoke erupts and Naruto crashes to the ground. Buldora emerges from the smoke as a human of a tan-skinned man with blonde hair, wearing black pants and knee-high boots with a black cape. "I'll beat you this time," doing the same as Buldora. His human form resembles a bee, but has two long horns, dark skin with a black striped pants having a gray stripe. A form-fitting tank top of a dark color and a bomber jacket tied around his waist. "Don't start fighting you two," Matatabi shouts, leaps down to check on Naruto as Matatabi takes a human form as well. She is a young-looking woman in her 20s with cobalt and black hair, wearing a white and blue sweater dress with black tights. "You can take human forms," Naruto says, rubbing his head. The mindscape is suddenly rocked by rumbling and explosions as the older brothers do battle. "Yes, now let's put some distance from what Matatabi says as sees B trying to get involved and sighs as she follows Naruto and her. Thanks for watching my video, leave a like if you enjoyed my video and also do consider subscribing to my channel for more awesome content. See you next time, till then sayonara.